ever, A, contribute to making them feel like they've been abandoned, and B, I can't ever stand by and watch somebody do that. And in the name of unity or whatever, act like that's not happening. Because there are real consequences. And so it's like, when I read his words towards trans people, Jesus. When I read, you know what I mean, the language towards Haitians specifically, which was very, Haitians will become your masters if you don't elect Trump. I mean, this is very, very familiar to me. You know, it's this idea of Haitians coming into the country and raping your daughters. I mean, this was really, really, really dark stuff. It's at the core of this country. And so I feel like for Haitian immigrants that are in Ohio who are living under the weight of this, for trans kids who, you know what I mean, are dealing with, you know, being, I don't even want to use the term bully, beaten up, attacked, threatened. You know what I mean? It's very, very important to me, given the post I have, to say I see you, but also this dude was wrong. And I'm all for unifying, I'm all for bridging gaps, but not at the expense of my neighbor's humanity. I just can't.
I think the thing we go to there, right? Not at the expense of my neighbor's humanity. Because I've gotten a lot of that in email, right? Like, how am I supposed to talk to these people? How am I supposed to deal with these people who are denying my humanity?
I'm not against talking about it. I'll talk to you very clearly.
Yeah, sure.
I have no problem with that.
I guess the place where, I'm not even 100% sure if we disagree, if you just like sort of see a role differently, right? I think that in losing as badly as we have imperiled trans people terribly.
Yes.
Politics is for power.
Joe Biden did that.
Politics is for power.
Joe Biden did do that.
And so I think that the question I am just genuinely struggling with isn't how to have like a great kumbaya moment, but I think it is taking seriously that something we're doing is not working. I mean, I had Sarah McBride, who's the first trans member of Congress on the show, and you know, we were talking about every single survey you can offer on like trans rights has gone in the wrong direction the past couple years. Right? We just begun to lose that argument terribly, and that has put people in real danger.
Yeah, because again, and this is what these motherfuckers will never address, fundamentally speaking, the right basically ginned up a ridiculous fucking sociopathic campaign, effectively a new era of and style of fucking Gamergate, Ezra. That dumbass fucking Sarah McBride also didn't say herself. Ezra, like, that was the right wing basically creating a new style of fucking Gamergate, dude. Like, again, and Sarah McBride was saying, like, you know, we should show grace to these people. You know, we should be able to come together and accept them. It's like, no, fuck that. Absolutely not. People have had enough with all the derisiveness, all the fucking annoying fucking bullshit that these sniveling fucking cowards, these complete morons, these people who do not believe in fucking reality, people do not want to fucking deal with their bullshit anymore. They just, they don't want to. Like, simply put. And who am I to fucking blame them? Like, it's perfectly fucking reasonable. Okay, I've had my fucking fair share and fill of arguing with these people. I fucking hate these people. They are just wholeheartedly incapable of wanting to find any rapport with fucking anyone. Because, again, inherent with the fucking ideology, and this is something that both Ezra and fucking Sarah McBride never fucking acknowledge, the ideology within itself is just violence. That is it. You cannot fucking find rapport with any of these people because they are wholeheartedly uninterested in having rapport with, because they just do not want to. For them, it is all about maintenance of fucking hierarchy and control. And until fucking liberals want to get up off their asses and fucking acknowledge that, specifically liberals like fucking Ezra Klein, like, no wonder fucking people on the left are just going to be very happy and fucking gleeful about the fact that, you know, one of the modern day fucking Joseph Goebbels of our fucking time basically got fucking murked in the neck, okay? Like, don't be fucking surprised by any of that shit, Ezra. Like, people have simply put, just have had enough.
So I take your point when you say, look, I want people to feel seen in my writing. And I want people to feel seen in my writing and my podcasting. But I think the place I'm trying to push towards is I think that there is a diminishment of the political coalition building that we now need to do, because we have come to the view that a pretty wide variety of people are in some ways kind of deplorables. I think it's weakened in the last couple of years.
I would never use that language. Jesus Christ. But like I said, so when I think about that Hillary Clinton, that's what, like, I would never say it like that.
That's great. I think it's good that you wouldn't say it like that, but I'm not saying.
I don't even think that, by the way. Like, I don't even focus on people. Hey, look, I am at war with.
I'm gonna say this again. Hillary Clinton was right when she said that. She was correct. She was correct. She was just right. I think Hillary Clinton is right when she said that. These people are fucking deplorables. You can't fucking find rapport with these people. It is impossible to fucking find rapport with these people because they are wholeheartedly uninterested in living in reality. You can't fucking deal with these people anymore, so you must shun them. You must publicly and socially fucking shame them. Like, there's nothing else you can do with these people. You have to treat them as, well, what they are, and that is wholeheartedly unserious fucking weirdos.
With certain ideologies and ideas. and I want them expunged. I want to turn them into phrenology. That's what I want. But I don't want the people, you know what I mean, out. Like when you start talking about who people are and their bones, like that.
So in a way, I'm not sure. I mean, in a way, I think we're saying something not too dissimilar here. I guess the place where I felt a lot of pushback, and maybe this was not your pushback, right? Was, you know, the first piece I can just sort of, like, I accept there's a disagreement on like what to do in the 24 hours after a death. Like, you feel like I was whitewashing the guy, and I felt like I was sort of, yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
It was very upsetting.
I know you do. The second piece I did, which I think you saw, was more about this question of what are we going to do living here in sort of two types of disagreement, right? One with a right that has, where Charlie Kirk has become sort of the center of it, right? He's not unusual for the MAGA coalition. He's a sort of uniting force within it, and the kind of things he believes in the way he did his politics. And then two, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to be here? People are like halfway there, right? What does it mean to be in this political community together? What do you think about that question?
About how to live together?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think it's a truth. You know what I mean? I think it's a, you know, like it's a foregone, like we are. You know, I really, really believe that. You know, there's no real choice about this. You know, I'm not renouncing my American citizenship. They're not renouncing their American citizenship. So this then, you know, as far as I'm concerned, is a contest of ideas and narratives. Again, all I can go do is my role as a writer. And my role as a writer is to state things as clearly as I possibly can, to make them in such a way that they haunt, to state truths, and to reinforce probably the animating notion of my politics. And that is that all humanity is equal. And is worthy of that, you know. And I actually think all of the sort of political and policy positions are, you know, that I probably find myself in sympathy with, are attempting to affect that, you know, in the real world. And so, and again, I'm putting aside your piece, but I'm just
like, again, I don't disagree with what he's saying here. Like, I think it is accurate to, again, because like all the policies that I push for and talk about, you know, like a Medicare for all, it means for all. Regulating the banks and the corporations to make it such that they stop basically abusing people. I agree. I mean that is for everyone. The problem is that conservatives wholeheartedly do not believe in that fucking project. Like, they will do everything possible to fucking push back on that stuff dishonestly very often. So it's just like, it becomes one of those situations where you shouldn't be really surprised by the fact that some people might be out there being rather fucking tired about this fucking bullshit, and are just like, it's like, I don't know, dude, like, fucking spare me it. Like, I'm not interested in fucking any of this bullshit, dude. Like, these people are fucking complete utter demons. You can't fucking deal with them. I've had enough of them. I don't want to fucking look at them. I hate them. Like, I don't think they deserve any of this fucking the shit that I fucking believe them. They should fucking all eat shit and fucking suffer and die. Like, we've had enough. And I'm not surprised by the fact that people are just like sick and fucking tired, because I too am also sick and fucking tired of having to constantly fucking argue and just talk with these people. Like, I can't fucking take it anymore. They're annoying, they're frustrating, they don't believe in anything. Like, you can't fucking deal with them anymore. Like, it's impossible. Like, do I think that, I don't know, all of them should like suffer and die? I don't think so. No. Like, they're all still fundamentally fucking human, right? Like, I don't think your average sort of like a MAGA sort of supporter or whatever should have to die for the sins of the fucking punditry or whatever. No, I don't agree with that whatsoever. But like, the fucking goddamn pundits and the individuals that are basically benefiting so much from this fucking political party and this fucking political coalition have a lot to fucking answer for the fact that it's just like, holy shit, like, this is like what you people have created. This is what you people have always reaped, have always fucking sowed, and now everyone else just has to fucking deal with it. So again, like, don't be upset about the fact, like, I'm not going to be upset about the fact about the fact that people will just look at Charlie Kirk and just be like, thank God he is fucking dead, because fuck that motherfucker. Like, I'm not surprised with that whatsoever, dude. Like, fuck that. Like, it's stupid. Yeah, and it's going to take generational fucking change. And that is something that the Democratic Party is wholeheartedly uninterested in fucking doing. And same with people like Ezra fucking Klein. I think that Ta-Nehisi Coates wants to see change, right? I think he probably wants to see some further sort of like left-leaning sort of shift, whatever that exactly means. That can be up to interpretation. But Ezra, fundamentally speaking, is not. For him, it is all about making those fucking sweet fucking Substack bucks, fundamentally speaking.
Just think about the moment we're in. When I hear or see people who are honored and commemorated in such a way so that they almost become a national religious figure, and then I see their content, and I see that their content is actively destructive to humanity, I have to draw a line there. Like, I think, like, for me, like, the bigger question is where the lines. You know what I mean? And I think there's no problem with saying, listen, you can't hurl epithets at people. You're out if you do that. I'm sorry. Look, you want to have a debate about whether we should have affirmative action, you know, in colleges? I'm here for it. You want to have a
But what does it mean to be on the other side of the line?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
What is it? So once somebody's on the other side of the line,
right.
What does that mean for you?
For instance, once you think it's okay.
No.
I'm trying to make this
I am too.
Yes.
Once, for whatever the definition of the line is.
Right.
what does it mean for you for somebody to be on the other side of it? Right? Not somebody who just died,
Right.
but somebody still living.
Right. If you think it is okay to dehumanize people, then conversation between you and I is probably not possible.
And so what do you do with the fact that so many people think that is okay?
I think what you try to do is, again, this is the difference, right? Like, I don't necessarily have the crystal ball to say that in this time, I'm going to be able to convince a majority of people that, for instance, let's just take the thing that's hot right now, trans folks are human beings and deserve humanity. Although I think most people know that you shouldn't say what he said. Like, that shit is rude. It's just rude to talk to people like that. I think most people know that. So as I'm thinking my way through the question, I actually think that's not a hard line to draw. I think not calling people out of their name, I think that's actually a basic value that most people have. And I think people who think it's not, who are pushing that, actually themselves on the other side of the line.
But so I want
This is a really, because again, Ezra Klein is the exact same fucking motherfucker who would gladly and gleefully throw trans people under the fucking bus. And seemingly a lot of fucking Democratic politicians are also okay with just throwing fucking trans people completely under the bus, right? Just fuck them. Who cares? Listen, a lot of their issues weren't all that popular anyways in terms of polling, so fuck it. Whatever. Fuck them, right? And yeah, being rude is currently the fucking norm right now, Boy Meets Minnie. That's a really good fucking point. Like, being rude is seen as a virtue to these people. Like, they want to just be, like, fucking assholes. Like, at some point, like, you can't treat these people honestly because they're just not interested in it, right? Like, it gets to a certain position. So again, you can't be really surprised about the fact that a lot of trans people are just like, dog, like, fuck this bullshit, man. Like, why should I fucking find rapport with people who fundamentally do not agree with my existence? Who do not fundamentally think that I should be an actual fucking human being, that I should be able to engage and have a healthy fucking successful life. Like, why? Why should I fucking talk with any of these people? There is no point in fucking finding rapport with any of these people. I do not like these people. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it makes fucking perfect sense to me. And again, like, we all know about the fucking empathy is fucking toxic bullshit. That's conservatives who are saying stuff like that, Ezra. Like, you can't fucking find any, like, common ground with people like this. You actively fucking shun them or socially fucking ostracize them, right? You shamed them into basically adopting a more, well, let's be honest here, I think human fucking position.
I want to hold on this for a minute. I do think this is like a very like
And that's
core
different
question.
from policy, Ezra.
Yeah, I understand it's different than policy.
That's different than policy.
I think that one is reality is the president of the United States is a person who in his comportment as a human being on the public stage, I would have said in 08, in 12, in 16, should be on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
I think he's a person who does not act with any sense of public or even personal decency.
Right.
And then he won in 16, lost sort of narrowly in 20 and then won in 2024. And I think the thing that has led to for me is recognizing that I don't get to draw the line. That doesn't mean I don't have it in my own heart, but I think that is the thing that I am struggling with, which is not only is he clearly for most people, or a lot of people, plurality of the voters in last election, not somehow way over the line, but like, that means it's a lot of people who are willing to accept things that I thought we would have found unacceptable. Like, I really, if you had told me, like, I would have thought that the way he acts in public is unacceptable, and it's not.
Welcome to the fucking past 50 years of conservative rhetoric and politics, Ezra. Like, this has always been the fucking case where conservatives are wholeheartedly uninterested in finding any fucking rapport with people. They don't want to. They just want people to fucking suffer and die. That's it. Like, you can't fucking find rapport with people like this. You can't. It is impossible. So it's just like either, having a level of national reconstruction which helps address material conditions on the ground and basically do a wholeheartedly extremely fucking radical re-education of people to be like, hey, this is what you do not do. Do not fucking treat people like subhuman. You should not be a fucking asshole because, listen, if I were to treat you that way, you wouldn't be a big fan of it now, would you? Like, it's going to have to take something fucking extreme in order to even be able to crawl back even like, I don't know, like a modicum of like, even like liberal fucking civility, to be honest.
And so I think for me, and this goes back to maybe the culture that you feel didn't exist, but I feel did, that there was a view that we could sort of work with politics with drawing these lines, that there are people going to be inside them and outside them, and we could work that way. And I think that I am like working with the question of what happens if you don't believe that, if you don't control the line. What I see is any line that existed at all collapsing. So I'm watching like Holocaust revisionism on like the
Dude, I mean, like, we've been past that line for a long time at this point. We've been past that line ever since fucking Reagan, dude. Like, seriously, like, that line has been gone for a long fucking time, dude.
right-wing podcasts, right? I'm watching Tucker Carlson turn into, what I would describe as a white nationalist and become an absolute dominant.
He's always been a white nationalist. Not turning into a white nationalist. He's always been that. He's never changed from that. He has always been a conspiratorial fucking right-wing weirdo. Like, he's had fucking, like, forum Nazis write, like, posts for him and shit. Like, what, I don't know. Like, what else are you even supposed to say to this? Like, these people are, what's the fucking line, Ezra? Like, we've already crossed that threshold has been crossed forever ago, my dude.
Force on the right, like, bigger than he ever was in his, smarmy libertarian phase. And this stuff is real appeal, like, as you said, right? That's not a surprise on some level. It's just something you have to deal with. And so that's where this question of the line drawing, like, I have lines where I think should and should not be acceptable, but those lines clearly have no relationship to my country, to politics. And I think I've been asking the question without really having an answer. I want to know about this, of what follows from that.
I think you do have a line.
I'm sure I do.
I think there are things, for instance, that I could say that would make you say it's no point in Tanasi coming up and being on this podcast. And likewise, the things you could say, obviously, I would say it's no point in me talking to
Yeah. I think what happens if 35% of the country, 40% of the country, the dominant political force in the country is inside that? Does that change anything? Or no, like the line just holds?
No, I mean, welcome to Black America. That's our history. The line we have drawn in general has not been majoritarian politics, unfortunately. That's just been what it is, And at the time that it's been majoritarian politics, people have done things and, filled with government or done, extremely violent things to make it not so, How
do you deal?
Dude, I mean, this has just been like, I don't think it's only just like Black America, right? Like, I think this is just like general fucking politics and racial sort of relations in general in America, right? Ever since, well, the failures of Reconstruction, I'll be quite honest. Like, ever since Reconstruction, because of that dipshit vice president that Lincoln had, like, it's over. Like, this has always been fucking America, where to even gain like an inch, people have to fight and bleed and fucking die for it. Like, and a lot of people, I think, have just had enough of it. They have had enough, so they are wholeheartedly willing to just be more radical and take matters into their own hands. This is a concept that I've talked about before, but if you make like basically justice impossible, you're going to make it such that people are more likely to want to take matters into their own hands. And people more and more and more have been taking matters into their own hands. And a lot of that has been catalyzed because of rhetoric from the fucking conservatives. People are trying to take things more and more into their own hands when material conditions have been, broadly speaking, getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And there's a lot of fucking goddamn complicated reasonings for that, right? It's not just a lot of it is because of the Republican Party, but a lot of it is also because of the failures of neoliberalism and general liberal abstemiousness, right? It's a multi-fucking faceted problem, and there is a lot of people that should be getting fucking blamed for this. And it's, well, I'll be quite honest, it's general sort of fucking capital.
In that answer, like, how do you deal with Trump really increasing his share of the black vote?
Actually, I think where he is about where actually Republicans tended to be before Barack Obama. So I'm a little less. I mean, there's a conservative portion of our community that's always voted Republican.
That's
and
true.
I think, obviously, I think sexism is a very, very real force. I don't think it's completely explanatory, but the idea that there's, say, 20% of black men who are fundamentally conservative, that doesn't really surprise me too much.
But I guess let's take, because I think this is a hard case.
I mean, again, I've even, like, this is the exact same point I've also said consistently before as well. Like, again, like, you teach a chimpanzee what the average fucking American believes in, and it fucking shoots itself. Like, unironically, like, the thoughts and beliefs of your fucking average American is dumbfounding to most people.
I think from your perspective and from my perspective, we probably don't believe hugely different things. A huge amount of the country, right, a majority of the country, believes things about trans people, about what policy should be towards trans people, about what language is acceptable to trans people, that, like, we would see as fundamentally morally wrong.
Right.
And what politically, not in a column or something, but politically, should our relationship with those people be? Do we win them over? Do we compromise with them? Like, this feels like a very salient question. The Republican Party is going to make sure this is a relentlessly salient question.
Right.
So where does the approach leave us? Right? Where do we go on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. Look, I think a couple things. I think.
Let me answer the question first. Okay, I'll put my answer out on the fucking table. You do not fucking relent. You do not fucking give in to these people, because again, if trans people go down, what's next? Gay people. They're already starting to think about looking back at fucking Obergefell v. Hodges. Like, the Supreme Court has constantly talked about this. And then after Obergefell v. Hodges, what's next? Interracial marriage? Then is it segregation's going to return? Where is the fucking line with these people? Because the line for fucking conservatives is a white fucking ethno-state, right? That's what they ultimately fucking, believe in. And after fucking trans rights, you keep fucking pushing. Because that's just the arc of fucking history. That's just how it fucking works, right? Like, unironically, you keep pushing for more and more rights while defending what has been fucking gained.
Again, look, my tradition is the only thing I have a reference point for, so I'm sorry to keep going back to this. But when I look at the times that we have lost, if I think specifically about the Black tradition, for instance, it's hard for me to say politically they did something wrong. You know what I mean? Like, Reconstruction falls. What was the thing that should have been done? On the contrary, I see, a kind of courage that I wish we had today in a lot of people. You know what I mean? I see people willing to die and take bullets all the time. You know what I mean? What more could Ida B. Wells have done, to get the anti-lynching bill passed? I mean, here's somebody that, was banished from Tennessee on threat of being killed after she saw her friends, murdered and lynched. And one of the things I will say is, when I look back at that long tradition, and I look back in the times that people have won and the places they won, it's often not been their heroism that was the decisive factor ultimately. It's often not been their strategy that was the decisive factor. Also back to the civil rights movement, for instance, and they talk about how brilliant it was to do sit-ins and, use mass media in the way that Martin Luther King used mass media. All of that's true. But if we don't have World War II, you know what I mean? And the planet does not get a view of how horrific it can be when you decide you're going to eliminate people based on their traits. Civil rights movement happened? I don't know. I think windows open and close. And so I think some of this is up to the decisions that politicians...
I like this, by the way. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Because again, like, the genocide conventions that currently exist nowadays, when Hitler and the Nazis, and this is a really good Jacob Geller video talked about this, talking about the failures of Nuremberg, like, when the prosecutors were trying to prosecute the Nazis for their crimes against humanity, there was no structure for any sort of, like, legal system to prosecute any of that stuff. No one fucking knew how to go forward with that stuff because it didn't, like, this was a thing thought to be impossible. Like, it's just like, they're just like, how the fuck do we even approach this particular problem? Like, this has never been done. This has never occurred ever. So, like, what do we do then? Like, how do we approach this particular issue? Because this has never happened before. Like, what do we do? What do we say? Like, how do we prosecute these people? Because they are definitely criminals. What they did is obviously fucking wrong. Like, that's true, but how do we do it? And it gave the Nazis an opportunity in order to be able to bloviate and weasel their way around the fucking problems. Because the prosecution themselves were just building the structures for human rights right then and there. Because these were structures that didn't exist before. Because no one ever thought that something like this was either needed or fucking possible.
I think some of it is also up to what is happening in the broader mass culture at the time. I think all this kind of, works together. I'm not against, this kind of strategizing. I think that has to happen. But I think you also have to recognize, like, how broad the world is when you say politics.
In today's super competitive business environment, the edge goes to...
Why are we fucking putting a T-Mobile ad in the middle of the fucking discussion segment? What the fuck is this? Nice meme, Ezra.
Particularly on the left.
Josh Johnson had a great bit on this, sort of imagining day one of freedom from slavery. People were probably bewildered. Oh, 1000% boy meets mini. Because again, if a structure exists for long enough, people simply become accustomed to it. Mark Fisher, my boy Mark Fisher, in Capitalist Fucking Realism, where the whole entire premise of the book is to basically engage with, well, what is beyond capitalism? Should it fall? Should it go away? No one has ever really thought about this. Again, like, a lot of the stuff that Mark Fisher has talked about within capitalist realism is the broader consequences of hyper-commodification and the sort of, well, basic, like, people and, corporations, the rich, the billionaires, yada, yada, yada. These people who basically just want to monetize every facet of everyone's fucking existence possible, and is sort of like engaging with that particular topic. But it's also sort of, well, there's a reason why people are not really willing to push back and fight against capitalism, even though, like, they broadly speaking have some kind of an inclination understanding that it is really bad and wholeheartedly unjustifiable, and a lot of its actions and positions that it takes are just, you can't really argue for them. Like, there is no affirmative position for them whatsoever. But people have no idea, like, what could be possibly beyond capitalism. Nobody fucking knows about that. Like, what is beyond that? Let's say, like, the socialist revolution is successful, and the transitionary steps, as Marx said within Critique of the Gotha program, begin to happen. Like, what does that look like? Nobody really knows. Like, it would be bewildering. It would be strange. Like, even to the successful socialist revolution in this hypothetical scenario, I think even they themselves would probably have a lot of troubles sort of like coming to terms like, oh, holy shit. Oh my fucking God. We won. We were successful. We've overthrown capitalism. Okay. What now? What do we do? And we can make these exact same sort of like, not critiques, but I think criticism, not critiques or criticisms, statements about the Paris Commune, right? Those guys, I think, broadly speaking, when they won, and, well, I think for lack of a better term, overall triumph against the military in taking over, Paris, right? Do you think that those guys had any fucking idea, like, where to go from there? No, they had no fucking idea, right? Like, they were uncertain. Like, there's a reason why Marx himself talked very, very fondly of the Paris Commune, right? There's a very, very specific reason, right? He saw it as like an instance of the emerging of the proletarian state, the lower levels of socialism, of communism beginning to be established, right? But he also acknowledged, he himself was just like, they didn't really know what they were fucking doing, right? Like, this is like a structure that is possible. They had like the revolutionaries in that particular instance, they didn't really fucking know where to go from there. He just saw it as just like, this is a particular use case. Like, this is it. This is what it fucking looks like, right? Like, this is how it fucking happens. And do you think that I keep wanting to say fucking partisans. They're not partisans. That the people who were successful in that revolution, that they knew what the next steps were? No, they had no idea.
Left, in which the Civil War, post it, the writings of that time, the people at that time, become a sort of a rooting period, a place where we sort of go back and look and think about who are we, what was revealed about us. I'm taking nothing away from that. Right. But that's obviously a period where politics ultimately fails. I actually think, and I've thought about this a lot in reaction I've read in the last couple weeks, I've thought a lot about how many people believe we are already in a cold civil war, that we are in a time that we are dealing with divisions and questions. I see it on the right, for sure. I hear it on the left. I have a lot of email that's like, we need a national divorce. How that's going to be effectuated, never exactly clear. They do use that.
Do people you respect say that to you?
Well, yes, actually, I will say that. But I'm not going to, people say things to me that are off the record and I shouldn't say it. But you don't believe that, though, right? You don't believe we are at a point. I think this is really important. I was curious what you would say to this question. You don't believe we are at a point where the next 10, 20, 30 years can't be shaped by decisions.
I'm so curious. Like, who are the people who are advocating for a national divorce? Like, I'm not, again, not that I'm surprised by that. Like, I am not really surprised by that whatsoever. Like, these people, like, again, like I've said before, you can't fucking find rapport with people like conservatives. Like, you can't. Like, it's impossible with these people. You just can't fucking do it. Like, people advocating for a national divorce, like, I mean, like, it doesn't surprise me. I'll be, like, again, I'm not surprised by that. Like, people have had enough. Yeah, I mostly find conservatives saying that. People on the left, I don't think liberals do that. Not the kind of liberals that write into people like Ezra Klein. I see that mostly coming from the right. They're the ones who've consistently pushed for civil war rhetoric, and they want a fucking war to try to fight and dominate and win over and subjugate people, because, again, that's in perfect line with their general sort of ideology, right? Like, to conquer, to win, to basically, subjugate people into, for lack of a better term, significantly fucking worse conditions, to dominate, right? Like, that's the thing I think mostly is coming from fucking conservatives. Like, I mean, yeah, like, there is left, like, but that's the point to me. Like, you're saying it's mostly fucking memers who do that. Like, I'm talking about, like, is there anyone serious within, like, active, like, online left political content creation who does any of that stuff? I'll be honest, no. Like, I think it's probably a lot more anarchists, right? I think a lot of anarchists would probably advocate for stuff like that, and like you're saying, autonomists, but, like, the sort of, like, main style of punditry, it's all from the right, dude. It's all of them.
We understand is within normal politics, within elections and legislation and organizing and so on.
No.
Good. I think that's great.
I mean, look, that could happen.
Yeah.
That could happen. But I guess the broader thing I am thinking about is how much does this era stand out in the long sweep of American history?
Yeah.
It's bad.
Well, so this is actually...
But I mean, it wouldn't make my list for worse.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm where you are on this,
Right.
to just be super clear.
Okay.
But I actually think one reason then the amount we focus on the Civil War period is tricky is because that's a period when it didn't work like that, right? You actually had to go over the cliff of that and have the war. I've been thinking a lot about, because I've been reading a lot about McCarthyism. So I've been thinking about that whole period. And you just regard World War II as, sort of a generator of the politics that allows us to have the Great Society, the Civil Rights Act, etc. I think another way of sort of glossing that is you have the rise of Red Scare politics, which predate McCarthy. You have Joseph McCarthy, who is, just for a period, an unbelievably dominant force.
It's insane.
Everybody who challenges him loses.
That's right.
He becomes a complete kingmaker. He's eventually boxed out and beaten by Dwight Eisenhower, sort of center-right, very, very anti-communist politician who can sort of take the center from McCarthy. But then it's like, what happens next? Nixon, who is the genteel red baiter to McCarthy's non-genteel red baiter, runs the next election. He's beaten by JFK, who's a very center-left, very anti-communist, sort of runs to Nixon's right on communism. And he does it with Lyndon Johnson, on the bottom of the ticket, sort of representing Southern politics and the Democratic Party. It's a very, very...
Dude, the fucking consequences of fucking goddamn the Soviet Union on the sort of political education of America is going to continue to affect America for, I think, at the very least, probably the next fucking century, dude. Like, the Soviet Union was just so fucking goddamn bad because that shit was not fucking communist, dude. Like, I'll be quite honest, the exact same shit as the current neoliberal system that we are currently find ourselves in. Again, capitalist realism from our boy Mark Fisher, right? He very often analogized, and I think he is correct in this analogy, talked about how the current neoliberal capitalistic system that exists right now is basically like the wet dream of any fucking Soviet Politburo. Like, in terms of all of the bureaus, all of the, like, regulatory boards and everything, this is, like, one for one the exact same fucking shit.
In a way, checkered series of moves that are accepting huge amounts of McCarthyism at that time. And yet it does sort of lead to political power that is then wielded in a very, very different way within fairly short order. I take from this, I've been thinking about this because I think we're sort of in a new McCarthyism, some lessons on how politics can work.
I don't
and like
disagree
the give
with
and the
us
take
on
of
that
it.
one.
We've been sort of brought up the Civil War bunch, but what do you take from this period?
I take something that we've kind of been circling for this entire conversation, which is that the role of politicians and the role of writers and intellectuals is very, very different.
But I mean, here's the thing, like, I mean, Ezra, I don't think Ezra's gonna fucking talk about who are the main people who have helped catalyze this new era of McCarthyism. It's the right, dude. Like, this isn't the left. Just because, like, some private fucking corporations and companies decided to implement and enforce their fucking TOSs, at least a bit more fucking normally than usual, does not mean that there's, like, a new form of fucking McCarthyism. Like, the new style of fucking McCarthyism has, like, been in the works by conservatives, I think, for decades at this point.
Politicians do things that I wouldn't do. I don't, for instance, I don't hold JFK or RFK up, you know what I mean, as the people I would, right.
I'm not a fan of JFK Camelot revisionism.
But, I guess
it's not a very good
that's like
president.
a separate thing from whether, you know what I mean, why politics happens the way they do. Let me give you an instance that often also comes up. That's not the Civil War, and that's the New Deal, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think there is a pretty strong argument that the New Deal quite did, I mean, not a strong argument, but pretty clear that the New Deal did quite a bit to create the social safety net, expand, create an American middle class, right? That's true. Did FDR want to, in his heart, exclude black folks in the way that they were excluded from it? No. That was the price of getting the thing done. I understand that as politics. But were I there in that time, it would be incumbent on me to yell at FDR to not do that. Mm-hmm. I just think that's really, 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 really important. We don't all have the same role. You know, when I wrote Case for Reparations, it was not my expectation. But I even think it would be politically intelligent for, like, Barack Obama to go up and yell, I'm for reparations. You know what I mean? But that's different.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Like, again, politics and the activist circles are, again, very, very fucking different, right? Activists, their purpose is to push the envelope on what is fucking possible, to force people to capitulate and, well, bring the overall Overton window more and more to the left. That's the point of activist movements, and obviously the civil rights movement was highly successful at that. And trans people are just the next step in that civil rights movement. I don't know if I've made this argument before, but I don't think the civil rights movement has ever ended within America. Like, in a system as violent and repressive as America is, a civil rights movement can never possibly end because there will always be active forces that exist within America will do anything possible in order to regress consistently. Your evangelicals of the world, your conservatives of the world, there's so many different motherfuckers across the world who would do anything possible to have people be brought back into the past. And this is, yeah, exactly, Boy Meets Minnie. This is something that's always going to be ongoing, even in a lefty fucking government. The arc of progress is one that always moves forward, but can never be stopped. And I feel like that's the second part of the quote that no one really ever takes into consideration very, very often. The thing is, in particular here, the sort of idea behind civil rights, behind pushing for further emancipation for marginalized people in particular, is it is a fight that is going to keep happening over and over and over and over again until there is a side that overall just claims victory. And that side will eventually fucking turn once the new thing becomes like having bibbly bops on your fucking wibbly bop or some shit, right? Like, you know, ridiculous, far in the future sort of example or whatever. Who gives a shit? Like, there will always be further movements forward. Always. Always, 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 always. And it is a sort of like broader movement, a broader sort of position where it's just like, you can't fucking stop. The arc of history, like has been said, is inclined to leftism. The arc of reality is inclined to that of the left. But you always have to be willing to fucking fight and bleed and die for it. And Charlie Kirk was wholeheartedly willing to, well, maybe not fight or bleed or die to fucking cause that further fucking regression. But then again, we also have to not forget about the fact that Charlie Kirk probably in reality doesn't really believe in much of anything because, well, after he dropped out of fucking college and after going to high school in 18, he also, well, let's be quite honest here, started Turning Point USA at the behest of a bunch of fucking fracking billionaires. So, like, do not forget about who we're overall talking about here. The problem with a lot of conservatives, especially nowadays, is that they are also, and this is an important sort of aspect that needs to be consistently covered, they're not honest actors. And they never have been. Even in the past, McCarthy was not an honest actor. Same with Nixon. They are all liars. They have consistently lied. Their political project is that of fucking lying. They don't fucking fundamentally believe in anything. They are always going to be fucking charlatans.
And then, you know what I mean? My role.
I guess the substructure of a bunch of what I am saying, which may not be in argument with you. It's just as when I texted you to come, I was like, I'm thinking about what the underlying arguments are here. So you're kind of getting this spilling out of my brain. I think that there is a work of politics that, for a bunch of different reasons, has become demeaned. And I think, and this does not speak well of the people, so to speak, in power doing it, but I think that they are not doing it well. I think the culture around them, I think politicians are not always leaders, I think they're often followers. And I think that the idea that that kind of political coalition building across these gigantic differences, building across public opinion, both not just as you wish it existed, but as it exists, has become, seen and like treated as often betrayal, cowardice, moral fallibility. It's not, I think it's fine to say people have different roles. And in fact, it's good for intellectuals to criticize the politicians. But my view is that the political practice became too weak. I don't think that was true for Obama. I went back preparing to talk to you and I read your piece, My President Was Black.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
And it's very much in this tension, right? Where you say quite a bit, like, it would have been a bad idea for Barack Obama to say the things I'm saying here, to do the things in some ways I wish he had done. It would have been, that politics wouldn't have worked. There would have been no Obama presidency and his presidency would not have been successful. And I think I've been thinking about that line, right? In my own work and just in the political culture as I see it, that line between the sort of intellectual, analytical work and the actual work of politics, the how do we live here with each other work, right? Which I think is actually honorable work. And I think is...
Yeah, but the problem is that we're currently dealing with people who just do not believe in reality. Like, you can't I've been consistently saying this before, but you can't find rapport with these people. You just can't. They are all inherently fucking dishonest, and you just can't. You can't fucking deal with these people. So you have to fucking brush them aside and force them to just leave broader polite society. Like, unironically, you can't fucking find any rapport with these people. It is impossible to find rapport with any of these people because they are not interested in having any rapport with you. Again, as I've been consistently saying before at this point, like, fundamentally speaking, the job of the current conservative punditry within the United States of America is to do everything fucking possible in order to push for, well, I'll be quite honest, like, moral abhorrence. moral fucking abhorrence. And I don't think I'm being like hyperbolic or ridiculous when I say that. Like, these people are just fundamentally they are not interested in wanting to live with their fellow man, woman, or MB. Like, they are not. For them, the point is the fucking subjugation. They just want people to suffer. And like I've been consistently saying at this point, the thing with like people like Ezra Klein is that he just wants to get his fucking Substack bucks and wants like conservatives to start fucking contributing to stuff like that. That's the overall objective with fucking goddamn Ezra Klein. So I would even lump him into this sort of broader description of, well, people who are just fundamentally just seemingly not interested in actually building a sort of like better politics, as like much as Ezra Klein likes to talk about here.
Feels right now to me like morally urgent and necessary, and not just over disagreement, just the whole thing being done in a strategic and disciplined sense. I think one of the things I've thought about is the need to actually raise the status of just like old-fashioned politics. And I think I've been surprised to find myself feeling that way. But I think one way the second Trump term has changed me is I don't, and maybe you always believe this, right? You know, I'm not putting this on you. I think what got built for all of its flaws in the back half of the 20th century was much more fragile than I'd understood. Not just like the legislation or any of that, but the actual sense of like what you could and could not do, what we would and would not accept. And I've just like the sense that we could just tumble all the way back has become much more real to me. And so the work that people did to begin to build
Well, I guess at least he has come to that recognition. This has always been the fucking case throughout history. Even Francis Fukuyama, when he wrote that dumbass fucking book talking about the end of fucking history, he eventually reneged on that position that he held in that fucking book. He's saying like, no, I was actually wrong. This isn't the end of fucking history. And you want to know what helped catalyze that in particular? It was the fucking Trump presidency. He made the realization like, oh, yeah, actually neoliberalism is slated to fucking fall. It's over. And we're currently living in the fact that, for lack of a better term, neoliberalism is over. It's done. It is failed. Like, people do not agree with, do not fucking jive with, do not fucking believe in neoliberal, like a namby-pamby liberal fucking politics. Like, they have had enough. And corporatocracy, people have had enough. Why? I'm pulling up the fucking graph again. This is why. People can't afford to fucking live. You need to at least have a 2-income household to even think about being able to afford a house and be able to just afford regular fucking groceries, for fuck's sake. And this is why. People have lost hope, and as a result are more inclined to want to engage in more significantly radical fucking politics. And given the sort of cruelty and moral abstemiousness that is the current United States of America, more often than not, that's going to be fucking far-right fucking politics. And the Democratic Party has had a huge role to play in the catalyzation of that far-right fucking politics. Because they themselves were also basically proponents and people who fucking pushed for, well, the overall fucking corporate stoogery. Because they too also take the exact same money and campaign contributions and pointers from the exact same people that really have power within America, and that being the corporations and the rich.
those guardrails and like how hard that actually was. You know, and at this point we eventually, I feel like we began to take something actually quite beautiful for granted, or only see what wasn't there as opposed to what was. And it's forced a little bit of, for me, like how did they do it? How did they get out of the last one of these?
You know, I'll just say, and I think I'm speaking for a broad community here. We are not happy, but we are not surprised, man. And again, the reason why we go back to Reconstruction and the Civil War is because it is, before the 1960s, the only glimpse at the possibility of a real democracy in this country. It happened. And in some places, it was actually quite successful. You know, you have people who, you know, had been enslaved, who were written off as illiterate fools, who, you know what I mean, serving in legislatures. And actually, you know, with the standard of the time, actually, it's such a hopeful, incredible story. It's a beautiful thing. And it was violently destroyed. You know, once you see that, and once you have that in your heritage, once you know what I mean, understand it, once you understand that Martin Luther King could be standing up telling his own people, we do not embrace violence at all. It is morally repugnant. We embrace love. And that could get you shot. Not burn it down. Love can get you shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just have a different view of your country. You know, it is not, I emphasize this over and over again, it is not a fatalistic view. It is not, it is written in stone that we will ultimately lose, but you understand that losing is a possibility.
But so then what does that, there's a Buddhist meditation I like. This is a weird place to go. But it goes like this. I'm of the nature to grow sick. I'm of the nature to grow old. I'm of the nature to lose the people I love. I'm of the nature to die. How then shall I live? And yeah, I do it because sometimes you need a reminder. What I hear you saying in ways, we are of the nature too.
Yeah.
And I think the place I'm trying to push is then, how then shall we live? Because in this distinction you're making between, like, you would have been there correctly, yelling at FDR. And I'm not like asking you, but like me, right? Like my role.
Can you answer that? Can you say what you, I think it's a good point. Would you define for me how you see, like, what your role is?
I don't know what my role is anymore. I'll be totally honest with you, man. I feel very...
Your role is to get money from fucking conservatives writing Substack articles. I have bad news for you, Ezra. They never want to read your fucking Substack articles, little bro. Little bro, like, stop. You just want to make money, bro. Like, that's it. That's it. That's your fucking role. You want to write your fucking opinion pieces and your Substacky and all that shit, and you just want to make some fucking money off of that, dude. Like, it really doesn't get any more fucking simple than that, dude. Like, it really does not.
Very conflicted about that question. The role I want to have is a person curiously exploring his political and intellectual interests in political peacetime. And the role I somehow have is sometimes that. But I am in the business, I'm a political opinion writer, and podcaster and so on. And I'm in the business of political persuasion. And I feel like me and the people who believe what I believe, not narrowly speaking, but, you know, like the whole broad coalition, have failed in a really consequential way. And I think it is...
I feel like you failed in your work.
I think there are places I failed. I mean, I think there are things I got right too. Like, I think we shouldn't have run Joe Biden again. I think I was right about that. I think I've gotten a lot right. But
Good job, Ezra.
I think I've gotten definitely things wrong. But I think we're here now, right? That's what I would really say. And it is forcing me to rethink things I would prefer not to rethink. I will give you an example because people are mad at me on this one right now.
Please.
I said in a podcast with my colleague Russ that he was pushing me on left radicalism. I was saying, I don't care about left-wing radicalism. I don't think it's some great threat. I don't think it's a huge political problem. I worry about left-wing pessimism, fatalism, that we are losing and don't want to change anything. And I said that the question for me is, you know, how do we win Senate seats in places like Kansas and Missouri and Ohio? I said, I would like to see us doing things like in red states, and here I meant redder than those, you know, running pro-life candidates. People got real upset about that, and I get why.
I remember this this take is fucking dog shit. This is a really, really bad fucking take. Like, yeah, you should not, like, why the fuck would you say that? What? Why would you fucking say that? Like, this is a position that is, I think, broadly speaking, like, figured out within the Democratic Party that they are just pro-choice. And one of the main broader coalitions within the Democratic Party is women in general. Like, women overall significantly sort of break with the Democratic fucking Party. And I don't know, Ezra. Personally, I don't think women really want to just give up all of their rights. I'll be quite honest. In order to just help appeal to conservatives who do not broadly agree with fucking reality, dude. Like, I remember he did fucking say this shit. And yeah, this is an incredibly fucking stupid thing of him to say.
But in 2010, when the Affordable Care Act passed, there were 40 House Democrats who were pro-life on some level. You had to do this whole negotiation with the Bart Stupak.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And on the bright side, you don't have to have those negotiations now, and on the downside, you can't pass the Affordable Care Act. And the point is not that issue, right? That one issue, you know, although things like, you know, the example of Susan Collins, where she's in theory pro-choice, but she votes for Mitch McConnell and John Thune as leader. Right. Like, that's how you build power on some level, right? If you have those, you know, Joe Manchin, like, I wish he were still a senator from West Virginia, as much as I have deep disagreements with him. I think that I am a person, I think you are a person, whether you admit it or not, who is one of the people with a, you know, voice in shaping what our political culture is. And I believe at some level that political strategy is downstream from political culture. I think it means exploring things that are uncomfortable and being pretty disciplined in a way maybe I haven't been, about separating the question of what I believe from what I believe will win power. Because I currently think that the cost of losing power is horrifying and dangerous, and we can't keep doing it. So that's
so can we say that exactly? The immediate thing, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the immediate thing that springs to mind to me in that question is not who you're abandoning, but how you square the fact that, in fact, reproductive rights has proven to be pretty popular in red states. And I'm thinking about referendums that have been passed, such that they've had...
There's a reason why I like this man. He's hitting the fucking nail on the head, dude. Like, right? Yeah, Ezra. How exactly are you going to square that circle there, bud? Yeah, I mean, it makes you think, doesn't it? It's just like, there have been how many fucking referendums talking about how broader positions believed by fucking Democrats are the most agreeable ones. and they have been the most agreeable ones. People agree with fucking democratic policy. This isn't a problem with fucking policy as much as Ezra Klein, I don't know, like simply seemingly wants you to believe that it is. No, people, broadly speaking, are on the side of the Democrats in this in particular. It's just for whatever fucking reason, like, Ezra just seems wholeheartedly incapable of just wanting to sort of engage in the fact that people, broadly speaking, agree with reproductive rights. They agree with raising the minimum wage. They agree with all of this different stuff. It's just for whatever reason, there's just like a corporate flank of the fucking goddamn party who's just, well, wholeheartedly speaking, just unwilling to sort of like give in to any of that. And, well, that's people like fucking Ezra Klein.
Change the rules. Like, how do you separate that?
I sort of said this in
like, people who didn't vote for Kamala, but didn't vote for reproductive rights.
I think that I was using first pro-life as an illustrative example, but there are many red districts in this country, and there are states that we do not even think about competing in anymore, right? I'm not talking about Ohio here. I think you have to try things. By the way, not only moderation kind of things, you could try going much harder on economic populism, which some people are trying. I think you might need to combine those two strategies, right? Which is sort of the Dan Osborne in Nebraska approach. I think that I think even before the question of what your policies are, and I believe this very deeply, there's a question of whether or not people feel like you respect them and like them, even if they disagree with you. Before I think people give you power, they don't even ask, do they like you? They ask whether you like them. And I think a lot of the country feels we don't like them. Not only that, I know that. I've seen the focus groups, I've seen the survey data, I've talked to people who work on this. And that's going to require, changing that is going to require making moves that somehow send a loud enough signal that people begin to think we've changed at some level. Sherrod Brown should be able to win in Ohio.
Yes.
The reason he cannot win in Ohio is the Democratic Party itself is a millstone around his neck that drags him down. So what do you do about it? I'm not here to tell you I got the answer.
Yeah.
What I feel much better about is I feel there was like a strategic discipline about finding it.
So I just if people take this very gentle pushback.
Yeah, please.
I think
you're here for it.
I haven't seen exactly what people are saying, online in terms of this, but I do think like what immediately strikes me is if you take, I know you would just, it's not the example necessarily that you would hold out, about reproductive rights, but I think the problem with musing about that is abandoning it is a very real possibility for people who don't have the option necessarily to fly to another state or do X, Y, and Z. So I suspect when they hear somebody of your status, even if it's not the example you mean, putting it out in the air.
Yeah,
like
they're not
feel,
going
and
to be
not just putting it out in the air, it's putting it out in the air, and actually, I don't necessarily even mean that one. No, like, if you're going to say that, I think you really got to put the data behind it. I think that's really, really important.
I will say, and I think this is actually the nub of it, right? Like, I'm glad we're sort of here. I am saying the thing it sounds like I'm saying. To be very, very clear,
right.
I think in a place like Nebraska, you should try to run some pro-life Democrats. I wish people, instead of saying...
that is just so fucking stupid, man. Like, even then, it's not going to fucking work. Like, he, again, is just advocating for capitulation and appealing to fucking conservatives. Like, this is just how you know how this man, Ezra Klein, seemingly he just hates the broader sort of like Democratic, like, I don't know what else to say besides he just hates Democrats, right? He hates the fact that the party is just moving further and further to the fucking left. Because that's what people really want. They want a person who is more to the left. Neoliberalism is dead. No one wants fucking pro-life fucking bullshit Democrats and all that fucking nonsense. They want further left catalyzation. And again, people are just, they're not buying what you're selling, bud. Like, nobody fucking wants this bullshit anymore, dude.
That an expressive or strategic question in politics was betraying or abandoning the people we wish to protect. I wish what we said was we lost power in a way that allowed Donald Trump to drive the Supreme Court to a 6-3 Republican majority. And that majority overturned Roe v. Wade.
Right.
It overturned Roe v. Wade and actually abandoned all these people. Right. Actually fucked them over. Right?
Right.
It is part of, I think, when I say that like the work of politics has become diminished, it is part of how that happened, that talking about this creates this sort of counter argument. Well, even to discuss it is to abandon. In 2008, as you and I both know, Barack Obama ran as a public opponent of gay marriage.
Right.
He ran opposed to it. Right. At a time when not only I wasn't for you, was I not opposed to it, but most of us did not. Yeah, most of us did not think he was opposed to it.
Right.
Like at his heart, we did not think he was opposed to it.
Right.
But he was playing politics.
Right.
That playing of politics allowed him to name Supreme Court justices, and that led to the decision that created a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. And I am saying that that kind of playing politics is needed.
I can give you an example from the other side, by the way, too.
Yeah, go for it.
Brother, you know what my position was during the election about Palestine, about Gaza.
Dude, yeah. By the way, you can actually make this exact same argument about abortion. Originally, like, abortion was like a hardly thought about issue amongst the fucking Republican Party. Like, nobody gave a fuck about any of that stuff. But then it became an issue. Nobody played politics in order for that to be the fucking case. It's what happened was that there was a very specific set of people who just basically pushed that into the main sort of like conservative sort of cultural fucking zeitgeist. Like that was pushed for. Nobody actually fucking agreed with any of that shit. There were no inherently anti-abortion like Republicans. They just there was like conservative religious groups who just inherently fucking push for that shit.
Kamala Harris was running to be the first black woman to be president of the United States. You cannot imagine how animated black folks were. And some of the base of the Democratic Party, black women. You know, we're gonna see this thing. She was not taking a position that I thought was particularly moral. I had to talk in front of black audiences about that. You know what I mean? And I had to do the other thing, which was go before Arab American audiences here, Palestinian American audiences here, and say, look, I'm with you. You can be mad at me. You probably will be mad at me. I get it. But for me, politics is the lesser of two evils. We've been fighting this battle for a long time. We've never had the luxury of electing people that represented the best of us. And this is why I'm voting for her. This is a really, really serious thing. And when you hear these Palestinians, Palestinian Americans, and when you hear these Muslim Americans, and when you hear these Arab Americans upset about this, you can't just yell at them. You have to take them seriously. These were hard, very, very difficult conversations. But when I made those conversations, look, man, I had to be buttoned up about it. I just think you take very, very seriously the need to convince people outside of the tent right now, right? About like we have to convince them to come in. I guess what I want from you is I want you to take as seriously people who are in the tent and who are vulnerable and afraid. And if you have to convince them of something,
oh, he's fucking hitting it on the fucking head. Listen, Ta-Nehisi Coates, I raise my fucking glass to you. This is the exact same fucking shit that I have been saying. The Democratic Party is wholeheartedly willing and perfectly okay with just abandoning their main base, the main coalition that gets them into power, that being fucking younger people and fucking minorities. They're just wholeheartedly willing to just cast them aside and get rid of them because them in the back of their minds, in their heart of hearts, they, well, mostly do not fucking like these people because they take a lot of the exact same corporate cash and are corporate stooges, similar to that of the fucking Republican Party, and also wholeheartedly think that, in reality, we just want to also be like Republicans and appeal to fucking Republicans. Again, it's the exact same fucking shit that Chuck Schumer said back during the elections, the period of the elections during 2015. If we lose some of the more Midwestern rural voters, we're going to gain 2 within the suburbs of Pennsylvania. And that's the main fucking problem. And that is what has been the main fucking political loser for the fucking Democratic fucking Party. This is why they have been getting consistently fucking owned. Honestly, like, ever since fucking Obama lost, like, 1,000 plus fucking state Senate seats. Like, is that fucking bad, dude? Like, this just capitulation of this party to go further and further right when their base has been consistently clamoring and begging and pleading to go more and more to the left. But this party is just wholeheartedly uninterested in doing any of that. The begging and the pleading has been done at this point. They have had enough of all the fucking corporate stoogery that currently exists within politics. No one wants that shit anymore. It has fucking failed. But the Democratic Party doesn't want that to be the case because in reality, they, like the Republicans, just want to get the exact same fucking corporate cash just like the Republicans. Like I said before, and even George Carlin said himself as well, it's a big fucking club and you ain't fucking in it.
It's extremely, extremely uncomfortable, but tell them that you're taking a position that's extremely I just think you owe them a little more. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it. But I want to put this on you for a minute, right? You keep putting it back on me.
Yeah, I'm open. Go ahead.
You keep putting it back on me here on the Ta-Nehisi Coates show. What then should we do? What then should... You're one of the most influential public intellectuals in the country. I know you don't like to think of politics as a thing you do, but it is a thing you do. What, as bad as you know this can get, and given that you're not a hopeless person, or who doesn't think you should just collapse into fatalism, what do you think should happen now?
I think that really depends on what your role is. I don't have a great overarching theory for what everybody needs to do because I think we all have different positions. I know what my role is. And I do see myself as part of politics, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very, very important way of answering. I mean, I'm not going to be the person that yells at you because, you want a bunch of right wing.
Okay, I got you. You go further left. Simply put, it's what the people want. It's what everyone's been demanding for fucking decades at this point. Ezra Klein. But you are not interested in any of that because, again, you just want to fucking appeal to the right in order to get fucking Substack money. Like, that's all that it is. Like, fundamentally, at the end of the day, people want, at this point, to go further and further to the left. More and more and more to the left. In terms of every fucking issue, in terms of all the polling, everything has these fucking indicators. But we are currently dealing with a political party who is digging their head in the sand on purpose because they themselves acknowledge that, well, we gained exact the exact same corporate fucking interests as the Republican parties, and we're particularly happy with that. So we're just going to continue accepting all this like corporate stooge fucking money and stuff like that, and and we're just going to overall accept all of that. We just want to get more money like the fucking goddamn Republican Party. That's what they overall want. And guess what? As a result, the historic fucking disapproval rating that is currently in existence for the fucking Democratic Party. They are an all-time low in terms of approval, simply due to the fact that the coalition for the fucking goddamn Democratic Party wants to move further left, and the current people in power are doing everything possible in order to stop that. Zoran Mamdani, he is a person who actually activates and animates people to want to participate in politics, to actually bring hope, to actually just, broadly speaking, just have people believe in like a fundamentally fucking better system. And what did the Democrats do with that energy? They tried to actively snub it. Because in reality, this is a party that is interested in one thing and one thing only, and that is corporate stoogery, just like the Republicans. They are no fucking different.
Podcast. As I've said many times, in the course of this interview, I see myself as a writer. I see myself as a journalist. I see myself as someone for whom it's very, very important to state the truth plainly and to clarify things as best I can. I'm not a strategist for a party, and I've tried, as you raised in that Barack Obama piece, I try to respect the difference.
I guess I'm not pushing you to be a political strategist, right? I think that for me, something you see me doing right here, something I think people react to me doing, saying, well, the fight is this profound, we're losing the fight. Then the question is to think about how we fight, right? It's something about knowing that this much of the country is, on the wrong side of what my line would have been, knowing that what Kirk was doing, what people like him were doing was working, that imposes a set of questions upon us that need to be answered.
The thing I'm struggling with in this conversation, and even in that question, is the fact that there are things that you yourself have actually advocated for that had they been done, we would be having a very different conversation.
I think I want it to not be close.
You said what?
I want it to not be close.
You'll call this my fatalism, but I am not surprised. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close for a very, very long time. I would like for it to be less close too. But
do you think that's within our power or not really?
Listen, I have a friend, and I'm not going to out him. He's a mutual friend of ours, who always says, this is the best set of white folks we have ever had in the entire history of Black America. This is the most woke. This is the least racist. This is the most aware group that we have had. You know what I mean? Like, for us, and for those of us who ground ourselves in a larger tradition, this is not close. Like, this is a remarkable time. In terms of our freedom, as writers and journalists to speak to people, in terms of the amount of people who are empowered and have some amount of privilege and could just look away and are not looking away. It's not a great time politically. You understand what I'm saying? But it's not the worst either.
No, it's not.
It's not the worst.
All right, then I think I'll ask our final question. What are 3 books you recommend to the audience?
So,
okay, we're done with that. Again, like at this point, like there's not really much else to say here besides Ezra's not going to learn any of the lessons. Again, he is a knowing, like at this point, like I think it's just safe to say that he's just a fucking knowing grifter. He just wants to appeal to fucking conservatives. He wants to be able to just appeal to them, to their sensibilities, to have them subscribe to his fucking Substack. Like that's all that it is at this point. Like that's the only conclusion that I can fundamentally sort of come to, where it's just like, Ezra, like there's a reason why people are just not very happy with a lot of the sort of things that you're saying and the things that you're fucking writing overall. It's because you're trying to capitulate up front to a political movement, to a political party that wholeheartedly does not see people as fucking human beings. Like, you can't fucking give into that. You can't capitulate to that. Because if you do, then that gives a permission structure for your life and everyone else's life to be much fucking worse. Again, like I said this like sort of hyperbolically, but there's some truth to this. Ezra Klein wants to be one of the fucking good liberals who will basically be like one of the prison guards at the sort of inevitable sort of camps that the conservatives will want to build if they get their sort of vision fully fucking realized. I say this like rather, it's a little hyperbolic obviously, but there's some truth to this. Like, people have simply put just have had enough of the corporate right-wing fucking stoogery that neoliberalism as a broader political movement has brought. People do not want that shit anymore, and your pieces on sort of Charlie Kirk and sort of wanting to run pro-life Democrats for whatever fucking reason, even though like the abortion debate within the Democratic Party it's done. Like there is no debate. There's no point in trying to play politics with stuff like that, even in deep red sort of like states where abortion is popular. People are fucking pro-choice. It's just that there is a party two parties that are wholeheartedly captured by right-wing corporate fucking interests. And that is who they want to serve. They do not want to serve the interests of the people. And as George Carlin himself said, and I'll say it again, it's a big fucking club. And you ain't in it. And unfortunately, Ezra wants to be in that club. So he's willing to do, well, defense for those people. And is willing to appeal to those people who want to be a part of the fucking big club. And everyone, just simply put, has had enough of all the fucking insider, billionaire corruption and fucking stoogery. No one wants to deal with any of that shit anymore, and they have had enough. So it makes sense to me why people were celebratory of Charlie Kirk's death, why people want to move further left, and why nobody wants anything to do with this current form of fucking politics. People have had enough. I'm going to bring up the graph one final time. This is what you need to address. Material fucking conditions on the ground. People are fucking hurting because of this. And this has been a sort of culmination of about 50 years of rhetoric, of laws passing, of laws being undone, and corporate consolidation that the corporations and the rich have been working since day one of the passing of the New Deal. Even as George Carlin himself said, in that big club, they want to get your fucking Social Security back. They want to get their Social Security money back. And they're totally willing to fucking cut Social Security and destroy Social Security in order to be able to do that. So again, this is my main problem with people like Ezra Klein. He will never, ever, ever, ever acknowledge what is the root cause and root basis for as to why politics has reached this point, for as to why the violence and rhetoric has gotten to this point. A lot of it is because of people like Charlie Kirk in terms of the violence, but it's also because there are two parties currently in power who have basically catalyzed the sort of corporate, oligarchic takeover of the annals of power of the United States of America. I don't think there's really much else to say besides, I hope those fucking Substack bucks are worth it for you in the end, Ezra Klein.